They say the first $100,000 is the hardest. That's not true. It's impossible until you actually do it. The first 100K is like running a marathon uphill, blindfolded, with a backpack full of your bad decisions. But once you get there, once you cross that invisible line, everything changes. You stop working for money, and money quietly starts working for you. I've seen people chase shortcuts, jump from crypto to options to real estate, only to end up back where they started broke, confused, and tired. Why? Because they never had the patience or belief to make it through the boring part, the grind of compounding. So today, I'm not here to give you motivational quotes or magic formulas. I'm here to tell you the truth, the kind that stings a little but pays dividends for life. The first 100K is not a financial milestone. It's a psychological test, a test of patience, belief, and discipline. The first $100,000 isn't just about arithmetic. It's a war inside your own head. People think it's about income, strategy, or some hidden investment secret. It's not. It's about conviction in the face of invisibility. Because in the beginning, nothing happens. You save a little, you invest a little, and it feels like you're throwing pebbles into an ocean, hoping to see a ripple. You check your balance every month, and it's almost insulting how slowly it grows. That's when most people give up. See, the numbers don't matter in the first few years. What matters is whether you believe in a process you can't yet see working. That's what makes the first 100K psychological, not mathematical. It's like planting a seed and staring at dirt for months, while wondering if you were foolish to even plant it. But the ones who stay patient, who water that invisible seed day after day without demanding instant proof, those are the people who eventually see the tree grow. When you're below 100K, your mind plays tricks on you. It whispers, "This is too slow. You're wasting time. There must be a faster way." And that's when the temptations arrive, the day trading, the sure thing, business idea, the fancy car that you deserve. But here's the truth. Every shortcut in this stage is a trap dressed like opportunity. The road to wealth isn't paved with brilliance. It's paved with endurance. Once you finally cross that first 100K, something subtle but powerful happens. The math starts to work in your favor. Compounding stops being theory and becomes reality. You start to see money create money, even when you're not doing anything. That's when your belief hardens into confidence. You realize that the hardest work was never about earning or investing. It was about keeping the faith while you look broke. So, when I say the first 100K is psychological, I mean it's a test of who you are when results are invisible. It's the world asking you, can you trust the process long enough for the process to start trusting you? Most people can't. They want certainty before effort. But in this game, belief comes first, evidence comes later. The first 100,000 isn't proof that you made money. It's proof that you refused to quit when it didn't look like you could. Patience is the most underrated form of intelligence in finance. Everyone says they understand compounding, but very few people have the temperament to actually live through it. The difference between understanding and living it is enormous. You can read about exponential growth in a book. You can calculate it on a spreadsheet, but when you're the one waiting year after year for it to show up in your bank account, it's a whole different story. Patience is what separates the people who understand compounding from the people who benefit from it. Think of patience as the real interest rate multiplier. It's not the number you see on your investment statement. It's the one that exists in your behavior. If you let impatience dictate your actions, you'll interrupt compounding before it can reward you. Every time you sell too soon, switch too often, or second, guess your plan, you're effectively hitting the reset button on your future. The people who build wealth slowly don't have better information. They just have the ability to wait without losing faith. Most of the time, your money will feel like it's doing nothing. You'll be saving, investing, and watching tiny, almost meaningless gains appear. It'll test your sanity. And then one day, it starts to move. And that's when you realize compounding isn't a smooth curve. It's a long, flat line followed by a sharp rise. But that rise only happens if you endure the flat part. The irony is that patience feels like doing nothing, but it's actually the most productive thing you can do. Charlie Munger once said, "The big money is not in the buying or the selling, but in the waiting." That's the truth most people can't stomach. They think wealth is created by constant action, constant optimization, constant trading. But in reality, it's created by consistent action followed by long periods of calm. It's not speed that builds wealth. It's endurance. If you think about it, patience is really an act of humility. It's admitting that you can't control the timing of success, only the persistence of your effort. People who lack patience often believe they're smarter than time. They think they can outguess markets, trends, and outcomes. But time always wins. Time rewards those who treat it as a partner, not a competitor. When you cultivate patience, you stop chasing the illusion of instant success. You start to appreciate the beauty of delayed gratification. The quiet satisfaction of watching something small become something significant. You stop measuring progress by days and start measuring it by decades. That's when compounding transforms from a mathematical idea into a way of life. Patience is not passive. It's disciplined waiting. It's the strength to keep planting seeds, knowing that some will take years to bloom. It's believing in the unseen work of time. The people who reach real wealth aren't the ones who move the fastest. They're the ones who stand still long enough for their effort to mature. So if you want to master money, master patience first. Every dollar you invest carries a timer, and every impulsive move resets it. Learn to sit still while your money works. Because the truth is, money doesn't grow in the moments you act. It grows in the moments you don't. The world is full of people who spend their entire lives chasing shortcuts. They want to get rich, but they don't want to wait. They want the rewards without the process, the success without the discipline. That's why the get-rich-quick trap is so deadly. It doesn't just steal your money. It steals your time, your focus, and your belief in steady progress. The first $100,000 is where this trap claims most of its victims. It's the stage where impatience feels logical, even justified. You've been saving, investing, and grinding for years, but the progress looks tiny. That's when the seductive voices start whispering, telling you there must be a faster way. You'll hear about the guy who turned a few thousand into millions trading crypto. You'll see someone on social media talking about flipping properties, starting side hustles, or day trading their way to freedom. You'll start to wonder, why not me? And that's the beginning of the fall. Because the moment you believe wealth can be rushed, you stop respecting the process that actually builds it. Every shortcut looks brilliant at first. It promises to bypass the slow, boring road of compounding. But what it really does is rob you of consistency. You start jumping from one thing to another, chasing what's hot, and every time you switch, you reset your progress back to zero. You're no longer building wealth. You're gambling for a miracle. The irony is, the more desperate you become for speed, the slower your results will actually be. Patience feels like pain when you don't trust the process, so people seek relief by chasing excitement. They tell themselves they're being entrepreneurial or taking risks, but deep down, They're just trying to skip the dull part of wealth creation, the part where nothing seems to happen. But that's the very phase that tests and shapes you. That's where the foundation is built. Every dollar saved, every habit formed, every boring decision to not overspend, it all compounds in silence. You just don't see it yet. The get-rich-quick mindset also feeds on ego. It convinces you that you're smarter than the system, that you can outthink time, that you can find a hack no one else has. But the truth is, there are no secrets left. The laws of compounding, patience, and consistency are universal. You can't cheat them. You can only align yourself with them. And those who do eventually win, not by brilliance, but by endurance. Most people lose in the wealth game, not because they're lazy or stupid, but because they can't stand slow progress. They mistake slowness for failure. They underestimate how exponential growth looks in real life. It's invisible for a long time and then overwhelming all at once. That's why the first 100K is such a perfect filter. It weeds out the impatient, the impulsive, the ones looking for shortcuts. Only those who are willing to crawl through the valley of boredom make it out the other side. You see, the get-rich-quick trap isn't about losing money. It's about losing belief. After a few failed shortcuts, people stop trusting themselves. They stop believing that slow and steady can actually work. They start thinking the system is rigged or that wealth is only for the lucky. But the truth is simpler. Compounding rewards patience and punishes restlessness. When you finally reject the idea of quick wealth, you start playing a different game. You stop chasing opportunity and start building inevitability. You realize that every dollar you save and invest is a worker you've hired for life. You don't need miracles anymore. You just need time. And time is the only edge that never expires. So if you're in the phase before your first 100K, remember this: boredom is not failure. Consistency is not slowness. The grind is not punishment. It's the price of entry. Every time you resist a shortcut, you're actually compounding something far more powerful than money. You're compounding patience. And that, more than any investment strategy, is what creates real, unshakable wealth. Living below your means is something people talk about like it's a budgeting tip, but it's much deeper than that. It's a mindset. It's about understanding that the gap between what you earn and what you spend is the space where freedom grows. But there's an even deeper truth hidden inside that simple phrase. It's not enough to live below your means. You must also learn to live below your ego. Because for most people, it's not their expenses that ruin them. It's their need to look successful before they actually are. Ego is expensive. It makes you buy things you don't need to impress people who aren't watching with money you haven't earned. It whispers that you deserve the car, the house, the watch, the vacation, not because you can afford it, but because you've worked hard. Ego wants recognition. Wealth wants quiet. The moment you let your ego dictate your spending, you're no longer in control. You've given the steering wheel of your financial life to public opinion. The truth is, most people don't go broke because of one big mistake. They go broke a little at a time through countless small decisions to satisfy their ego. Every time you choose image over growth, you're trading long-term wealth for short-term validation. The ego doesn't care about compounding or financial independence. It only cares about now, about how others see you, about how you feel in the moment. But compounding rewards the opposite mindset. It rewards those who can delay the need for recognition, who can look unsuccessful, while quietly building something real beneath the surface. When you're on the journey to your first 100,000, this battle between ego and discipline is constant. You'll see friends buying new cars, moving into bigger apartments, showing off vacations, and you'll feel the pull. that quiet voice saying, "You deserve that too." And technically, maybe you do. But deserving something and affording it are not the same thing. The real measure of maturity is choosing not to buy what you can afford because you understand that every unnecessary expense steals from your future freedom. Living below your ego means mastering the art of being underestimated. It means being content with looking average while quietly stacking advantages that others can't see. It means walking into a room without needing your clothes, your car, or your phone to speak for you. Wealth whispers. Ego screams. The wealthiest people I've ever met didn't need to prove anything. Their patience did the talking. When you strip away ego, something powerful happens. Your time horizon expands. You stop thinking in terms of days and start thinking in decades. You stop needing immediate validation because your satisfaction comes from watching quiet progress. Every dollar you don't spend on ego becomes a seed for compounding. Every moment you resist showing off buys you a piece of your own future freedom. And here's the beautiful paradox. When you finally reach real wealth, when your money starts working for you, you no longer feel the need to prove anything. The very thing your ego craved in the beginning, admiration, respect, recognition, comes naturally to those who no longer seek it. But to get there, you must endure the period where you seem behind. That's the price of discipline. You'll look less successful than your peers for a while, but you'll stay calm while they panic, and you'll grow while they stagnate. Living below your ego also builds resilience. When your lifestyle isn't inflated, you're flexible. You can take risks, invest more aggressively, or survive downturns without fear. People who live at the edge of their income live in quiet anxiety. They can't afford a setback. But when you've learned to separate self-worth from net worth, you gain an incredible advantage. You can play the long game. You don't make emotional financial decisions. You don't sell in panic or buy out of envy. You're steady. Ego is the great enemy of compounding because it demands attention, and attention costs money. Every dollar spent feeding your ego is a dollar that loses the chance to multiply. Living below your means is arithmetic. Living below your ego is philosophy. The first builds your bank account. The second builds your character. And if you master both, no financial setback can take away your peace, because your peace no longer depends on what other people think. So when you're saving for that first 100K, remember, the enemy isn't the market, inflation, or your salary. The enemy is the part of you that wants to look rich before you are rich. Conquer that, and you'll not only reach your goal faster, but you'll also arrive with the one thing money can't buy: self-control. Wealth is quiet confidence. Ego is noisy insecurity. Choose quiet, it compounds. The most powerful force in wealth building isn't compounding interest or market returns. It's the compounding of your own habits. People often think money is the main character in the story of getting rich. But the truth is, money is just the reflection of your behavior. The numbers in your bank account are the scoreboard of your discipline, consistency, and decisions. Every small financial habit you build early on, saving regularly, spending wisely, learning constantly, compounds quietly in the background until one day it transforms who you are. The person who earns their first 100K doesn't just have more money. They've become someone capable of creating, protecting, and multiplying it. Think about it this way: before your money can grow, you have to grow. You can't build wealth with the same mindset that keeps you broke. You can't have the rewards of compounding if you haven't mastered the behaviors that allow it to work. The act of saving your first 100,000 forces you to develop habits that become automatic. Patience, self-control, long-term thinking, and resistance to noise. You stop looking for quick wins and start valuing consistency. You stop chasing what's exciting and start appreciating what's effective. When you first start saving, it feels mechanical. You're budgeting, cutting expenses, saying no to unnecessary purchases. It feels restrictive. But over time, something shifts. Those habits stop feeling like sacrifices and start feeling like empowerment. You realize that every time you choose to save instead of spend, you're not depriving yourself. You're paying your future self. Every decision compounds not just financially, but psychologically. You start building an identity around being disciplined, capable, and intentional. And once that identity takes root, it becomes nearly impossible to lose. This is why so many people who suddenly receive large sums of money through inheritance, lottery, or luck end up losing it. They skip the habit-building phase. They got the results without the foundation. Without the habits, money has no structure to hold it in place. It slips through the cracks of impulsive behavior and emotional decisions. But when you've fought your way to the first $100,000 mark, you've earned the habits that protect it. You've trained yourself to think differently about money, to respect it rather than worship it. Your habits are a mirror of your values. If your habits reflect discipline, consistency, and patience, your results will follow the same pattern. If your habits reflect impulsiveness and emotional spending, your results will too. The process of saving and investing teaches you how to delay gratification, how to think long-term in a world obsessed with immediacy. That's a rare skill. In fact, that skill alone can build you a fortune, even with average income and returns. The magic of habit compounding is that it becomes easier over time. The same way your money begins to work for you, your habits start working for you too. Once you've built the muscle of consistency, it doesn't take effort to maintain it. It becomes part of who you are. You no longer need to force yourself to save. It happens naturally. You no longer feel tempted by every new shiny object because your satisfaction comes from progress, not possessions. That's when you cross the invisible line from chasing wealth to embodying it. The beauty of compounding habits is that they spill over into other areas of life. The patience you develop waiting for your investments to grow becomes the same patience that helps you make better career decisions. The discipline you build budgeting becomes the same discipline that helps you focus, learn, and follow through on your goals. The belief you gain from seeing small, consistent actions produce big results translates into confidence. The quiet, unshakable kind that comes from knowing you can rely on yourself. Building your first 100K is a crash course in habit transformation. You start it thinking it's about money, but by the end, you realize it's about self-mastery. The dollar amount is just the proof that your habits are working. And here's the secret: once you've built those habits, the next 100K comes faster, and the next one after that even faster still. That's not luck. That's compounding behavior. So while everyone else is looking for the next hot stock, the best side hustle, or the newest financial hack, you should focus on something far more powerful: your daily actions. Because no investment beats the return on a disciplined mind. Your habits are the real compound interest of life. Invisible at first, unstoppable later. The moment your habits start working for you, instead of against you, the wealth you're building becomes inevitable. Most people think wealth is supposed to feel exciting, like some thrilling adventure filled with risk, adrenaline, and dramatic turning points. But the truth is, real wealth creation is mind-numbingly boring. It's repetitive, predictable, almost mechanical. It's the same actions done over and over again: saving, investing, waiting, ignoring noise. It doesn't look glamorous on the outside. There's no cinematic moment of triumph, no confetti, no applause. Just quiet progress stacking slowly behind the scenes. And that's why most people never get rich. They get bored before they get rewarded. We live in a world addicted to stimulation. Our brains are wired to crave novelty. New information, new trends, new opportunities. The financial world knows this, which is why it constantly dangles shiny distractions in front of you. There's always a new coin, a new startup, a new stock, a new once-in-a-lifetime play. Every headline screams urgency, act now, or miss the wave. But compounding doesn't work that way. Compounding is the opposite of excitement. It's about sitting still, doing nothing flashy, and letting time do the heavy lifting. Learning to love boring means learning to fall in love with the routine. It's finding satisfaction not in the thrill of action, but in the quiet rhythm of progress. It's enjoying the slow build. It's trusting that what feels uneventful today is setting the foundation for something monumental tomorrow. Most people think boredom means something's wrong, that if it's not exciting, it must not be working. But in wealth building, boredom is often the clearest sign that everything is working exactly as it should. Think of a tree growing. Day by day, you can barely see any change, but underneath the soil, roots are spreading, deepening, strengthening. Years later, that same tree is unshakable while the weeds that grew faster are long gone. Wealth works the same way. For years, your progress is invisible, small gains, slow growth, nothing dramatic. Then one day, the compounding curve starts to rise sharply, and suddenly everyone calls you lucky. They didn't see the years you spent doing the boring stuff, saving when it wasn't fun, investing when it felt pointless, ignoring the noise when everyone else was panicking or celebrating. The boring part of wealth creation is where character is built. That's where you develop emotional control, the ability to stay the course when your instincts scream to do something. Most people sabotage themselves not because they lack knowledge, but because they can't sit still. They sell too early, chase trends, and change strategies every few months. They confuse activity with progress. But in reality, wealth rewards inaction far more than action. The hardest part of compounding isn't the math, it's the patience to do nothing while your money quietly multiplies. Charlie Munger once said, "It's waiting that helps you as an investor," and a lot of people just can't stand to wait. That single sentence captures the essence of wealth building. Waiting is uncomfortable because it feels like losing control. But that's the paradox. The more you try to control every outcome, the less wealth you actually create. The people who do best are those who build a good plan and then have the discipline to leave it alone. The beauty of learning to love boring is that it frees you from emotional chaos. You stop reacting to every market move, every headline, every rumor. You stop checking your portfolio 10 times a day because you understand that wealth doesn't grow by watching it. You replace excitement with peace. That peace is priceless. It's the mental freedom that comes from knowing you're on the right path, even if it doesn't feel dramatic. When you learn to love boring, you also gain focus. You stop scattering your energy across 100 distractions and start channeling it into a few high-quality decisions. You automate your savings, invest in what you understand, and spend your time building skills, not chasing trends. You become the kind of person who compounds not just money, but wisdom, reputation, and stability. The world will always reward the calm thinker over the restless one, because calm thinkers make decisions based on logic and principle, while restless people make decisions based on emotion and impulse. The boring path isn't slow, it's steady, and steady always wins in the end. So if your financial journey feels dull right now, good. That's a sign you're doing it right. It means you're out of the noise and into the process. It means you've chosen discipline over drama. Remember, excitement is the drug of the poor. Boredom is the privilege of the wealthy. The sooner you learn to find joy in the quiet, repetitive rhythm of progress, the sooner compounding will start to work its invisible magic. Because the truth is, the road to wealth doesn't sparkle. It hums softly, like a machine running perfectly in the background, unnoticed but unstoppable.